occasion as we learn and dialogue one with another today. It is in the words of our President Barack Obama, as you see on the front of your program, who says, "We want fewer young men on the streets. We want more of them in the boardroom. We want everyone to have a chance to succeed in America." And I believe that's the hope of all of us who are gathered here on this cold December morning as we've come because we are concerned citizens in our Hempstead community, and certainly we are glad for our mayor and our trustees for calling us together for such a time as this. And so as we begin our program for today, I'm going to ask now that the Honorable Mayor Wayne J. Hall, if he would come, after which he'll come with his remarks. All of our trustees will come and greet us today. Our Deputy Mayor Hobbs, Trustee Pettis, Trustee Figueroa, and Trustee Ryan. Can you put your hands together and show them some love as they come?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And thank you, Reverend Easley, for the opening remark for us. I'm happy to be here this morning and see all of you here at 9:30 in the morning. And on a cold winter, is it winter yet?
Almost.
Is it tomorrow? Tomorrow's winter. Okay, well, almost winter morning. It's still fall. I'm glad to see you. What's that? Oh, when summer?
On the 21st is winter.
That's tomorrow. That's tomorrow. Okay. I'm glad that all of you came out, and I'm seeing that people are still coming in here for this very, very important initiative that we want to start. Our President, Barack Obama, back in February, called to all the mayors in the country to come together and be part of My Brother's Keeper, targeting blacks and brown, that's African American and Latino young men, taking them from the cradle, taking them up all the way up to high school to mentor them, to make sure that they would be successful. And I think today, this morning, we're here to put our heads together to come up with a solution to how we can make Hempstead a better place. And I think that we really can do that because Hempstead is a 3.7 square mile village. It's a village that has 54,000 plus people in it. And I think that we have the clergy, we have other stakeholders, presidents of the Civic Association, we got the Board of Trustees, we got educators. Everyone is coming out here today. We have the ADA coming out. Everyone's coming here because they are concerned about our young men. Our young men are getting killed. They're concerned about the black on black crime. They're concerned about the brown on brown crime. We want to make our kids successful. In Hempstead, we have challenges here. We know that. And we want to try to correct that by having the youth panel come up and tell us their experience, their concern. We're going to have the education panel that come up and tell us how and what we should be doing to make our kids successful. By the third grade in our community, many of our kids can't even read on the third grade level. And that equates to by the time they keep moving up to high school. And I'll never forget this incident that I was in the middle school one summer. It was a senior in high school. He couldn't read. He was reading on the third or fourth grade level. So if you know that when you start going to high school, you start doing geometry problems, you start doing algebraic problems, and if you can't read on your level, you're not going to be successful. So the kids divert to other means. They go fall out of school because they can't do something. They're not interested in. They go in East Meadow to be incarcerated. We are trying to prevent that from happening. Here in Hempstead, out on Long Island, I just believe that Long Island is one of the most segregated places out here. We have one high school, and in that one high school, it's only an academic high school. Our kids, if they don't want to go to college, they have to go have an academic program. When I grew up in Queens, we had choices. We can go to vocational high school, we can go to academic high school. And by the time we were out of school in a vocational high school, we had a trade or, start off the bottom. We can't do that here. So putting our heads together, I'm hoping I'm hoping this morning that we will leave here and come back next month and put together all the solutions that we have. I want to thank you for coming out this morning. I want to thank Max for really putting this together. She really, really worked hard. I got home at 11 o'clock last night. She was still at work. So, Max, you're the best. I want to ask our deputy mayor to come up and give us the greeting talk.
Good morning. We welcome you to the village of Hempstead, to our brother's keeper. And as the mayor was saying, we've come together with our stakeholders in our community, and not just our community, but we have stakeholders here in Nassau County that's concerned about our young people. And so today, as we listen to the panels, this is a way for us to do more than talk about it, to come up with a solution and a plan. And so we welcome you today. Thank you for coming.
Good morning. I would like to say thank you for coming. This has been a long time coming. This is something that we need in our village, and our young people, we have to help them and get them in the right direction. So, and we have a lot of great speakers, so I'm not going to stand here and speak all morning, but I want to thank everyone for coming here. I know it's hard to get up in the morning, but this is very important. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to see this auditorium full with a busy schedule that everyone has, still shopping. But it is important to see our youth moving forward in the right direction. It's a great initiative that our president has taken on and our mayor. And working along with the mayor, we should see some progress in our village. We want our children from, as the president mentioned, from the cradle to high school to become an asset to our society, not a liability. We see too much liability with our youth. So I believe, we hope, and we also pray that this forum will be an initiative and a start to take us to a new level. God bless everyone.
Good morning, Hempstead. I too would like to thank those responsible for today's occasion. The summit is extremely important, and I think one of the things we can do is we can begin to pray for our young people. Pray that the Sunday schools of all the churches in the village of Hempstead would be crowded every week. We can pray too that the message of your minister or other holy person would be embraced not only on the Sabbath, but reverberate throughout the entire week. And we need to pray for the older people to turn to the younger people with a love and understanding that could truly make this an example of the African proverb that it takes an entire village to raise a child. And Charles Renfrew, you look at me when I said the older people. Guilty as charged. And two, pray for the younger people as they begin their families to put God into their parenting skills. And finally, let's pray that all of us turn to our neighbor, loving, caring, and doing. So it be said of this village, our nation, heart to God and hand to man. Thank you, everybody.
Ron talked about prayer, so let's stand and have a word of prayer for our invocation at this time as we move along with our program for today. Might we pray? God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far along the way. It is on today, God, that we come thanking you, O God, for this opportunity for us to share in the direction of our village and for the concern of our young people. God, today we thank you for the vision of our president and of our mayor so that we can come together, oh God, as stakeholders, oh God, that we make investments in our community, that we may reap a harvest later. So God, now thank you for every leader, every parent, every community worker, oh God, that has come today because we are concerned about our village and because we love our children of our village. And so God, bless us today as we put our hearts and our minds together for such a time as this. We honor you and we glorify your name. In Jesus' name we pray. God's people said, amen. Amen. You may be seated. As we move with the program for today, certainly it's good to see so many of you out, as has been said several times already on this cold morning, but we are concerned, am I right? Yes. Y'all can talk back to me, am I right? Yes. We are concerned about our community. We are concerned about our children. And yes, we are our brother's keeper. And so at this time, we have 5 young people who are the poem stars, spoken word on today. They're going to come with their presentation at this time. Show them some love as they come.
When I say you need to, I need you guys to say change. And when I say we need to, I need you guys to say change. Can we do that? Yes. All right, we're going to practice. I need to change. You need to change. We need to change. I need to change. You need to change. We need to change. And I'm not talking nickels, quarters, and dimes. I'm talking being fathers to your daughters and keeping your sons away from crimes. I'm talking this whole world getting in order because we so out of line. Before we run out of time, we need to change for the better. Treat our women like queens, because it's hard to be a king without a Coretta. We need to stay together. We need to pray together, because united you stand, but divided we fall forever. We need to teach our kids not just how to live, but how to stay alive. You see, I need to change. You need to change. We need to change.
I want to live in a world where I don't need to mortgage my home just to get a good education. Where it's easier for the mentally ill to receive proper mental health care than it is for them to obtain a firearm. I want to live in a world where someone doesn't take their life every 40 seconds. Where the 12 million vacant homes in America can be owned by the 4 million homeless. That's 3 per person. I want to live in a world where the 1% and the 99% can represent 100% of the good of man. Where our actions speak louder than our bank accounts. Where prisons and schools turn at-risk youth into model citizens. I want to live in a world where racism, sexism, discrimination, and depression are extinct. Where love is a natural instinct and selflessness is a part of the common core. I want to live in a world where it's okay to say, I need to change. You need to change. We need to change.
Like this silver thing in my pocket, if I took it out and dropped it, would you talk so much about it? Change. You see, it should be done monotonously with a lot less hypocrisy. You see, change is the only change that need most change, and strangers only see change with call them strangers. Whatever happened to the term brother and sisters? Before we change anything, we have to change this. I'm gonna spell it out. It should be C, carry, H, hope, A, N, never G, grow, E, envious. Before I try to change you, I gotta change self, and only then can we change us. See, I need to change. You need to change. We need to change.
So he can remember how to smile again. And she can remember how to be a child again. And your only concern is if he will rhyme again. Instead of the rivers running down the cheek of Krista Quinones and Sabrina Fulton. 2 women who had put their sons on trial post-death. Who knew that guilty convictions were based on culture? Who knew that guilty convictions were based on image?
Yeah.
Who knew that guilty convictions were based on race? And the hood of my sweater would determine my morgue attendance dates. There needs to be a difference. But you just sit there as you play call and response, instead of being the response to this call. So instead, every morning, I need you to look in the mirror and say, I need to change. You need to change. We need to change. I need to change. You need to change. We need to change. So let's change. If I could buy a time machine, if time could be reversed, first, I would go to a day not too far away, a day not too far gone, and warn Trayvon Martin to departing a cab home. So while Zimmerman roamed the neighborhood looking for young boys in hoods, it wouldn't have been Trey, and he would still be with us today. You see, if I could buy a time machine, there's a lot of things I would fix. See, when police emptied 50 shots at Sean Bell, I would go back and make sure all their guns fail. And if I couldn't, I would tell the judge enough that they all go to jail with no bail. And well, if I could buy a time machine, I would tell Eric Garner to jet right before he sold that last cigarette. And if he was still placed under arrest, I would fight with him till we both can't breathe, till our last breath. You see, if I could buy a time machine, I would tell Michael Brown not to turn around. I would yell, run, run, Michael, run. Because in Missouri, the police is the judge and the jury, and they're killing people for WWB. That's walking while black. That's a fact. So if I could buy a time machine, I would go back.
Yeah.
And intervene when Dr. Martin Luther King was shot. Tell him, do not go on that balcony, but if he doesn't listen to me before that first bullet is shot, I would push him to another spot so his dreaming would not have to stop. And next I go to Harlem during the last speech of Malcolm X, the one before his death. I will inform him to dash right before that first shotgun blast, then pass him a Smith & Wesson. Stand my ground and help protect him. You see, if I could buy a time machine.
Don't shoot the youth in these broken streets. They carry the fate of the nation in their backpacks and jeans. You can't keep gunning them down, putting bodies in the rounds. If you count up the rounds, they won't equal peace. You keep telling us it's a lesson you need to teach when we haven't even learned what it means to be free.
They said they gave us the world on a platter, and we're supposed to use it like a ladder, but the platter's lying down, so how do we climb it? They say the sky's the limit, but for some reason I can see stars. And why do we listen? Is it because 25% of our vision has been controlled by the television? You know, it's funny, they say that man-made, nothing that man-made should have to make us or break us, but I feel like with this one, we are broken. So what should we do next? We could Facebook this, send a crude text, hashtag, the government's corrupt, see what they do next. Maybe boogaloo, a little two-step. Ladies, get your body in the front cover of a magazine saying talk is cheap because you put your butt cheeks against the windshield of a Maybach. Oh, the government's gonna do this? We gotta do that. They're gonna get white rich? We'll get black. We could always storm Washington, kick in the brigades, give opportunity to loot while most of us raid. You don't got a gun to shoot? Cool, dude, here's a grenade. The sad thing is when your community, the only time they want to pick up a book is when it's in a game of spades. Whatever. He said they gave us the world on a platter, and we're supposed to use it like a ladder. The platter's lying down, so how do we climb it? They say the sky's the limit, but for some reason I can see stars.
I get it. You are comfortable in your monotony. Your movements match the Earth's rotation. Your days repeat every. Your days repeat every. Your days have no room for growth. But you have so much potential in you that is untapped, unlatched, meant to reset and retract your make to the God's purpose for you. So let's soothe and train that offbeat that is misaligned with your vision of your current situation. So let's write the vision, speak the vision, then walk, run, push, fight. Don't stop till you get that dream goal. A perfect career, a great marriage, a better relationship with God. Let no hater deter you. Instead, let me refer you to your future. It said you're happy, and it can't wait to meet you. Thank y'all for having us. I just want to let y'all know we have a website, PoemStarsEntertainment.com. You can check us out on any social media, Poem Stars. Thank you.
Come on, I know you can do better than that. Come on, y'all make some noise for them. Put your hands together for them. Great work, great presentation, great display, great information. Some of you all remember that even in the rap game, When it began, it was really in response to many of the social ills. Some of you all remember that. Of our community, when you begin to think about the Sugar Hill Gang. Some of you all are old enough to remember that. Some of you all are old enough to remember that. Even Public Enemy was in response to some of the social ills of our community. And certainly, I'm glad to see these young men here this morning. They could be doing a lot of other things, but they're here spreading a different kind of message. And that, come on y'all, put your hands together. It means a lot. That really means a lot. Some of them, one of the young men said, if I could buy a time machine, that's a message there. Many of us, if we could buy a time machine, so many things that we would have, could have, should have done. If we could just buy a time machine. The other young man says, you can't climb a ladder if it's on the ground. Amen? And so today our gathering together is that so we can pick up some ladders off the ground so our young people can climb them. Amen? And so we're going to move forward today with our first panel presentation. I'm excited about that. Our first panel presentation, and from the mouth of babes. This is our youth presentation on today. It's going to be moderated by Brother Wayne Redmond, the Executive Director of the Hempstead Boys and Girls Club. Show him some love as he comes. Over here. He's going to come, he'll introduce to us our panel, and we'll move forward.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. How are we doing today? Good. We should be inspired. We should be charged up. We said it was cold outside, but it's warm in here because we're here for a purpose today. We have to come away with some solutions. And I feel honored because the first group, we are the change we seek. You know, sometimes we as adults have all kinds of ideas about what we're going to do and what we're going to put in place, but we don't stop to ask the people that really are going to be impacted. And that's our young people and our young men today. So today we have some panelists that I'd like to call up. Mr. Ronald Taylor. You can take the stage, please. Ronald Taylor is a student at Syracuse. Mr. Andrew Colbreth. Andrew is a student at Hempstead High School. All right. We have Moises Herrera. Moises is a professional with the Youth and Family Association. Do we have Antonio Bennett? Antonio Bennett? No. Okay. Corey Alexander. Corey Alexander is with the CODA program. And Keyshawn Thomas. Keyshawn Thomas. Also with the CODA program. So these are our panelists today. You guys can see them, right? Yes. Gentlemen, as we start out, the first question today is really, how do you see yourself as a man in American society today? How do you see yourself as a man? And what does it mean to be a man in American society today? Let's start out with Corey. Let's start out with you, Corey.
Being a man, in my opinion, is having a positive outlook. And like one of the young brothers said in the poem, he said that you want to have a successful job, have a good family, and you just want to make a positive living. You know what I mean? But I feel like the black youth is stereotyped, and they aren't really given a chance. You know? So I feel like it's basically misconstrued in a way because I'm sorry, excuse me. I just feel like it's misconstrued because the black youth just, like I said, they're stereotyped and an assumption is made against them. So it's assumed that they're gonna fail before they even do. So I feel like just being a positive person in America, my opinion, what I want to do, to be a positive person and just live my life on a good.
Thank you. Andrew, could you answer the question?
Well, basically, I would see myself as endangered to society because of all the tragedies that happen, like to Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Eric Garner. So to these young black men, and I just fear that the worst is going to happen. That the same to me, but I would dream of helping others and becoming a great artist.
Thank you very much.
Being a man, particularly a man of color, in this particular climate is confusing and it's difficult because I have to be a provider for my family. I have to be educated, but not too educated because people get offended when a brown boy is educated. I have to know both languages inside and out, but I can't know Spanish too well because so not to offend those people in the room that don't speak Spanish. I have to be everything that everyone wants me to be all the time, as we all do. Very seldom does someone ask me to be the best me, but I have to be the best social worker. But I have to be the best student, I have to be the best adult. I think what we should start imparting in our young men is just be you. Be the best you, be the best person you can possibly be.
So it's kind of difficult because I have two versions, I guess you could say. So going to Syracuse University up in upstate New York, 7.7% of us are African American. Of that, 3.4 are African American males, 2.9% are athletes. So the rest of us, that point something, are us that are just here for grades. Which it shows, and it's definitely telling of just our experiences as African American men. But so the way I've defined myself as a man in that context is someone who is constantly receiving pushback. I'm one of the few African Americans in the honors college, which is fine with me, but I'm reminded of my blackness pretty frequently. But to me, that's an enabler, because whenever you're in spaces where you're scarce, people are definitely offended by you, and that gives you more of a reason to then do your job and do it extremely well. So for me, although right now we see these negative things happening to black and brown youth, that to me, it's more of a reason to pursue what I'm interested in and to do an even better job at it, to disprove all the narratives and stereotypes and all these lovely things that we see written in papers and research since the 20th century, if not earlier than that. But just to I like to educate people on just the history. I think that it's important that we also educate ourselves. And so if you haven't heard of it or read it at least, just read chapter 1 of The Souls of Black Folk by W.E.B. Du Bois, because he goes through this entire dichotomy of growing up in a society where you have to be two people fitting into the white narrative and your own narrative. And I think that it would empower us as a community to look into those pieces of literature and teach our youth how to then combat the things that we're seeing today. That's how I define myself.
Appreciate that. Okay, Kishon, sorry. All right, Terrell now, okay. All right, Kishon, go ahead.
As a man, what I think is a man. Repeat that question.
Yeah, how do you see yourself as a young man in society today?
How do I see myself, or how do I see young men?
How do you see yourself?
I'm a father, so I really see myself as providing, supporting my family, taking care of my responsibilities, my priorities, and as of now, since I am a father, I'd rather just work than be in the streets. But right now, I see myself as being a father first, and really standing on my 10 toes, not taking no for an answer, and doing what I gotta do to get me and my family out of certain situations we in.
How you doing today? How do I see myself as a man?
How do you see yourself as a young man in society today?
As a young man in society, I was already taught from the beginning that I'm already going to start in the negative, so I already transitioned my mind to be set to have to fight harder than the rest. as a black African American in America, I'm always gonna have to fight harder, be more determined, like just be ready for the fight and be ready to take care of my family and know that the path is gonna be a little tougher because that's just the way the situation is. And I've always just came in with that thought process, like just to work hard, take care of my family. Now that I am a new father as well, so you know that's just my mindset is to do all I can do, you know, and be a positive role model for other black males that's around my age and think that they got to be in the street and that's the only way. You know, there's other ways to do things and still be successful and still have fun, you know, and still be a positive role model in the community.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Gentlemen, it seems that we've come up with some things about trying to be positive role models, trying to do what you have to do, taking care of your families, the issues that we have in terms of playing the role versus just being ourselves. Can you tell me, in your lives, was there a point in your life where something changed for you? Where you decided, usually we got paths that we can go down. We take the right or we take the left. Is there a time when something happened in your life that made you go down the path that turned you around? I want to start with you. If you want 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody got a moment in their life? Sure. Go ahead.
So I think there's a myth that there is a moment where everything could go right or everything could go wrong, because every day we wake up, all of us, young men, older people, seasoned people, every day you can choose to do something that you shouldn't do or do something that you can't do. I think me personally, I was fortunate enough to have found my passion early when I was in high school, and I started performing with Rachel Blackburn at Hempstead High School. And she, one of the good teachers, actually took us out to, took us overseas, where we were competing with other choirs who didn't look like us. For those of you who don't know, Eastern European people do not look like us. And I got to experience racism for the first time, really, truly, honestly, where I was a different color than people were walking past me and taking pictures of me. Just for being brown. They were taking pictures of some of the young ladies that were with us, who were a little bit more developed than your standard Eastern European person. And I had never been on display like that. So I think when I finally experienced that, and I came back to the United States, first of all, I realized how incredibly privileged I am for being an American, being a young male American. And I just decided I'm not going to go into that stereotype. You know, the entire world is expecting us to do wrong. Why am I going to give them the satisfaction?
We're going to ask that you either move the mics a little closer to you.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to speak into the mic.
Right, yeah, please.
All right, we sound good here. That's right. All right, anybody else want to share a moment of change in their lives?
I can hop in.
You can hop in? Go ahead.
Can everyone hear me? Is this better?
Yes.
All right, so kind of borrowing from the previous point, I think there was a series of moments. And so a bit about myself, like growing up, my grandparents have been in Hempstead for a while, since a very long time, more than I can remember. And so growing up, like I had an appreciation for Hempstead, and despite hearing the negative things about my community, I would come home, and my grandparents kept it very simple that you're going to go to school, you're going to do this, because you're not going to be here afterwards, you're going to be working on somebody's construction project. That was the way we were raised. All the grandkids, my mother can definitely testify to that as well. We grew up with the only option was to go and do what you had to do. And so I would say for me, a turning point where I kind of realized my own potential from the foundation I was given was definitely when I got into high school and began to realize that yes, I was in a minority of sorts as far as being an African-American male that was going to go on to college thereafter, which is unfortunate, but the people I was positioned around definitely helped me find my, I guess, calling and vocation to a certain extent. So what I want to highlight here is definitely different programs that we just don't tap into in our community. So just quickly, how many men that are in a Greek organization are in this audience right now? Right, so we got 1, 2, I'm part of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. So essentially, these are all philanthropic organizations made for and by our people, of which my personal organization has 5 chapters on the island that are graduate, that are actively having college tours, different mentorship programs that we're just not tapping into. So my sophomore year of high school, I was able to go on a college tour during October, where I saw 21 historically black colleges and universities, was accepted to 17 of those 21 that I applied to. All this time. So that was all after just getting an opportunity that would have cost about $2,000 for anybody to go on. But I got to go on for free, not just because, you know, I had parents, my mother's in particular, who saw this organization that was about great things and said, you need to go on this college tour. I don't care if you're too young or the case might be, you're gonna go on it. And so like, therefore, when I graduated high school, it wasn't, you know, what am I going to do? It's where am I going to go? And that was an extremely crucial point for me. So I think that it really comes down to, we live in Hempstead, yes, it's a small municipality, but you're in one of the most affluent counties in the nation. There are resources that sit to your left, to your right, to your north, to your south, and it really just comes down to tapping into those resources. So I would empower and definitely call people in this audience, if you have a young person, it literally requires going to the library, seeing who in your church is a part of something that might have some type of organization, and getting a young person involved. So that was my, I guess, more relevant turning point.
One of the turning points in my life was one of the times I was about 20, 21, you know, trying to figure out what I want to do. And I was speaking with somebody that was supposed to give me a little advice, like kind of like a life coach or something like that. And speaking with her, a lot of the things I was figuring out by myself. And she was Caucasian. And I say that just to say that she was more or less surprised at me being able to articulate myself and just being able to figure out what I wanted to do, even by her just asking me the right questions. And it just baffled me and just showed me like they really don't expect much of us as African Americans, and it's just like something they surprised of. And I just thought I should have been doing more. I should have been smarter or more intelligent. And she was just surprised that I just had any knowledge, and that just made me want to fight harder to do something with myself. And that's basically a big moment in my life as far as turning points is concerned.
I think my changing path is every day. Every day I don't want to do something that I don't want to remember something that I remember. So I like, matter of fact, I think it was colder when I went to that college. A dude up there gave me a pencil. I got the pencil hanging on my wall. But that's the only thing I really got out of that situation. He told me something about the pencil, like if you sharpen this pencil, you're making bad decisions. So I wake up, I look at, I don't really look at the pencil, but you know what I'm saying? So I know for a fact not to sharpen that pencil. And I know not to make no bad decisions. So I truly, I feel, I done did a lot of bad things. I done got mad repercussions behind that, man. But I choose to change every day because I want more. Like, I want more. I want my son to have more. I want my people, my friends. I want y'all to have more. I feel like I'm changing right now by y'all looking at me.
Gentlemen, they say that we got parents, we've got teachers, we've got peers, we've got individuals in our lives. Who has made the biggest impact in your life? And do you think that other people really have an impact in your life? Why don't we start out, my man over here.
There's actually the two most important people in my life that has impacted me in a long. There are two people in my life that impacted me in a long way, and that's my mom, my dad. First, without my mom, there were so many opportunities that I had participated. And if it wasn't for her, those opportunities were like doors, and they were just waiting for me to go through them. That's what my mom always says. There's many doors of opportunities to go through, You just have to choose to go through them or not. And without her support and everything, I wouldn't be the person who I was. And it wasn't for my dad, I wouldn't also, like I said, I wouldn't be the person who I was right now.
Yes. So people need mentors. We need mentors. Us here on the stage need mentors. Adults need mentors. Everybody needs somebody in their life that can teach them something. I make it a point to take something from everybody that I meet. I'm taking everything from you guys. A wonderful poem, Stars presentation was amazing. All of the panelists here. You have to take pieces from everyone. So there, you know, of course, there's my mother for slapping me on the head when I did something wrong. There's my father for teaching me how to change a tire. Donna Raphael, which is a name that many of you in this room know, picked me up off the streets when I was 17-year-old. Figured that I would do well, and here I am 6 years at Family and Children's Association because of her. Everybody. I take things from the mayor, from the deputy mayor, from the Board of Education. I take things from my church. I take things from my pastor. And really, I guess I can say to you all is you never know what somebody's going to take from you. So let them take something positive. All right. Oftentimes, I live in Hempstead my entire life, and oftentimes everyone's talking about the behavior of the kids, and no one's really looking at the adults. Many times if someone has told me to check myself, I can really turn that finger around, so you gotta check yourself. So just a word of caution. Kids are sponges. And now, particularly as a social worker now, I can tell you, they will learn anything. That's why your 2-year-old is running around the house cursing up a storm, because you were on the phone last night, you didn't realize you hurt you.
All right.
Make sure that the youth of today are picking up something positive from you, which means that you need to be positive every moment of your life, every single day. Okay?
Yep.
You skipped me on the last question, so I'm going to try to tie it all in. I just want to give everybody a little background about myself. I graduated from Malvern High School in 2011. Played basketball there all 4 years. And in 2012, I started at Nassau Community College. I played basketball there. And then that summer, I had a unforeseen run-in with law enforcement. And thanks to Ms. Dana Boylan and the CODA initiative, which is the Council of Thought and Action, I was given a second chance, a second alternative to prison. And I just want to say that has definitely helped me throughout this whole process. Basically, when I was given the second chance, I continued school. I continued playing my second year of basketball, and I got my associate's degree from Nassau Community College. I just want to say that CODA was definitely a big part of that. Helped me keep my head straight. It's a 2-day program, so every Tuesday and Thursday. Just knowing that I have to be there just helps me, you know. Just knowing I'm doing something positive is definitely helping me. And after I graduated, I actually I transferred to SUNY Old Westbury, and I'm on the basketball team there now. So, and I just want to say that I just want to advocate for this program because I feel that, like I said before, a lot of kids, they aren't given that second chance because of assumptions and stereotypes. And I feel like without this program, I wouldn't have been able to show my true potential. I feel like I would be sitting in prison, sitting in a jail cell, truly knowing myself where I could be and where I want to be, but it wouldn't be anything I could do about that. So I just wanted to thank CODA, Dana Boylan, and I just want to thank my mother, which is in the back. She's my rock. I don't know where I would be without my mother. You only get one. I just want everybody to know that. You only get one mother.
Another question, sir. You're talking about parents, teachers, school peers. Who's the impact?
Oh yeah, we need those. We need more. Yeah. But yeah, like I ain't gonna hold you. Like I talk to Marcellus, that's like my big bro. You know what I'm saying? I talk to my mom. I think somebody need to talk to my mom too. But nah, we do. Everybody needs somebody to talk to. Everybody need extra everything. You know what I'm saying? We need an extra classroom or extra hour during the day. Like we need to be focused on, you know, like take an hour out of the day to focus on what they want in life. Like even if it's just an hour, 20 minutes. Like me lately, I've been focusing 24 hours on what I want. And right now, I feel like I'm on like a road to success. That's what I call it right now. Like I ain't never been so, you know, so humble in a while. Like, but I think it's because I got people that really wasn't there from the beginning. Now, certain people that I never met before in my life want to help, and then there's people that you know what I'm saying, that don't want to help, that I know my whole life. So it's like I'm trying to, you know, make them mad in a little way. But, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to show them how easy it is to get help. Right? But that's about it. I think we all need somebody. We need more everything, more mentors, more classrooms, more, you know, more time, really.
The most influential people in my life is my mother and my father. My mother basically teach me discipline, how to be a man, walk on the outside when you with a female, open the doors for them, basically respect and, you know, setting up the structure. And my father taught me how to be tough. He's been through so much in his life and still pushing and still doing as much as he's doing today. It just makes me think like, I gotta do something with my life. And I can say today that I've never been arrested. I've never been in trouble with the law or anything. And I think it'd be a slap in his face for me to get in trouble with the law. And he's been through that, you know what I mean? And he's doing so much to show me that he can do more. You know, and it's not, basically what I learned from him is not how you start, it's how you finish.
Yes.
I would say I would give a lot of just, I guess, my life, to be honest, first of all to God, who I would not be here without. And then I would say definitely my mother, who is, I think we've heard the term like a tiger parent. She definitely raised me as a tiger mother. Very, very high expectations, definitely a lot of tough love. But at the end of the day, as I reflect on it growing up, it really helped me understand that how things are just going to be. And it really taught me how to just be very, very diligent. When every single door closes, you find that door that no one else saw. So my mom's in the back trying to hide, but definitely appreciate it. So, God, my mother, and definitely my entire family.
Okay. Now, that gentleman, you mentioned when we're talking, you know, you mentioned moms. We got a lot of kudos for moms, and it's like that football thing where the player says, "Hi, Mom, thank you very much." We're not talking that much about dad. Now, one of the concerns that just is raised is what actually is the real impact of a father. And we can say father in your biological father, we can say father in a male that was a leader for you. Do fathers really have a big role in your lives? Are fathers involved in your lives? Or is that just a myth that we even have to have fathers involved in our lives? What do you think? What do you think?
Well, I was lucky enough to have my father in my life. He was there from day one. I played football and basketball since the age of about 4 or 5. He was always there. But it's a saying that I've heard that only a man can raise a son. You know, so
say that again.
Only a man can raise a son.
Say it again.
Only a man. No disrespect to the mothers out there, single mothers that have done it, because I know that's tough too. But I just feel like just having a male role model is just very important. Like you said, it doesn't have to be a biological father. It can just be someone you look up to. You know what I mean? Like just someone that's older, more experienced, someone that's been there, done that. And like again, I can refer back to Coda. We have people like you said, Marcellus, Ruben here, for example, people that have been there that can tell you right from wrong, tell you no, tell you yes, you know, and you can count on them. So I feel like male role models are very important, just in general, not even father figures, just male role models.
We're going to just go down the line.
Right. So, yes, fathers are important. I don't think young men in particular don't realize how important their fathers are until they get a little bit older. I did.
Can you speak up a little bit more?
Sure. Yes, I can definitely speak up.
I have heard you, so you can do it.
My father woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning every day to be in the city for work as a construction person at 5 a.m. I didn't get home until about 7 p.m. from whatever I was doing after school, at which point my father would be in the bed, asleep. So if you ask me where my father was from 1st to 11th grade, I would say in the bed, because I never saw this man except for when he was in the bed sleeping. And I resented that for a long time. You know, people would ask me, why isn't your father here? Teachers and everyone else. And I'd be like, well, my mom can come. But my father doesn't really care too much. And now I'm kind of banging my head against the wall. My father did care, because if it wasn't for my father, I wouldn't have clothes on my back.
Right.
If it wasn't for my father, I wouldn't have eaten. Now that he's older and he's kind of not working as many hours construction, it's a difficult job for an old person. I'm starting to realize how present he actually was in my life without actually being right in front of my face. And I can never say thank you enough to him for that. So he's been very important in my life. He also taught me how to speak Spanish. So he's bilingual. And you know, and I joked about it earlier, but my father taught me how to change a tire. And that seems pretty minute until I was taking a road trip down to Florida, and my car stopped in the middle of the highway in South Carolina because my tire had popped. But guess what I knew how to do? So I changed that tire. And had my father not been there, if he had not been there, I may have learned how to do that through somebody else, but I know for a fact that my father taught me how to change my tire. And I still know how to change my tire. So if any of you guys need a tire change, come see me. I have my tire. You can thank my father for that.
That's the title for a book. How to change my tire.
All right, good.
Having a father is the most important thing in life. Now, I don't mean to offend the mothers, because that's the one important thing, but fathers, that's the real deal. Without my father, I wouldn't have food on my table, I wouldn't have clothes to wear, I wouldn't have had experience with trips like Rhode Island, Connecticut, Pennsylvania. My father, we all sleep at night, but he is like the first person to get up, like around 4 o'clock, and he goes to the city, and I will see him around 6. Now, I couldn't have asked any more than a father like that, because without him, all of the opportunities that happened in my life, it could have been possible without him. So that many people that think having a father is never important, you really need to think a lot more, because having a father means so much in your life.
Thank you.
So I guess I kind of have like a tale of two cities a little bit. So I did grow up with my father present in my household, but unfortunately my parents' marriage ended when I was in high school. And throughout my childhood, I guess I had the idea that my father was present, but he necessarily wasn't completely present. Like he was there, but not there at the same time, if that makes sense. But I was fortunate, and I don't consider myself a victim at all, because that's not what I believe in. But what I will say is I was fortunate to be surrounded with men in my life that filled in the gap when he physically was not there. So between being in different programs, being immersed to different people that really saw an interest in a positive and constructive way, that's what really created the person that I am. And I mean, even though, you know, I may not have had like the most, you know, perfect, you know, picture perfect upbringing, at the end of the day, I still had people in my life that saw interest in me. So in my, I guess, world, you can be my biological father or not. If you have an interest in developing me and it's out of a point of construction, then you've been a father to me. And I don't put a limit on that. So.
Pops, you want to tell me about my pops?
Yes, sir.
My pops, he live in Atlanta right now. He been down there for a little bit, but when I was little, I was told somebody else was my father. So I really didn't care about the father thing. I got confused. But I would say, I guess 3 they changed because I was named after somebody else that wasn't my father. So I guess 3 they changed my name when I was like 3 years old. My aunt gave me my name. And what happened? I don't know. I think Kennedy Park is where I like really met my first, like my real father. I was here at Kennedy Park. So then I was like, I guess Kennedy Park was my favorite place after that, or whatnot. And that's only because I seen him and we looked just alike. But that became my favorite place. So, and I'm thinking he only working now, but I'm thinking he work here. You know what I'm saying? So after school, as I got older, I used to tell everybody I'm going to Kennedy Park, my pop's job. You know what I'm saying? And then, I don't know, as we got older, I got in trouble, and my mom's, I'm like, what, I think I'm 13. You know, my pops was here and there. He never was like all the way, you know what I'm saying, like in my household physically, but I spoke to my pops like I speak to y'all, so that was good for me. Like, me and him got the best relationship, communication is everything. Like, I speak to him every morning, as a matter of fact. Like, I make sure before, you know, I leave the crib or whatever I'm doing, brushing my teeth, whatever, I call him or he call me. We laugh all day, jokes, send each other pictures and all that. Like, he a cool dude. Like, I told him, if he wasn't my father, I would, you know what I'm saying? Like, you would still be my homie, like my best friend. So, you know, but I moved with him. Like when I was 13, I got arrested. Nothing crazy. It sounded like stolen car, I'll tell you. I got arrested. And my mom sent me to go move with him. This man in Atlanta now. My mom sent me to go move with him, and I realized like my pops was the coolest person I ever met in my life. Like to this day, I still be like, he remind me of like Martin. I don't know if y'all like Martin. But that's what he remind me, like his attitude, he funny all around the board. So it's like the coolest person. And he only whooped me like 3 times in my life. We brag about that. Like, we be bragging about that. Like, you know, he'd be like, I ain't never had to beat you. You should be proud of me. You beat me 3 times, man. That's good enough. But you know, when I was living with him around the house, we had crazy fun. Water fights in the crib, I never did that. You know what I'm saying? So I be wanting to, you know, I be in the house with Noe, throw water at him. He be, you know, he don't know what that really mean. He just be thinking, he want to catch an attitude in front of certain people, like, I don't want to play right now. But, you know, we have fun too. But I appreciate my father. I think me and my father, I think this is probably a thing, yeah, and like I would love this, you know what I'm saying? Like I would want my father to be right here right now, but he doing him, so I gotta tell him this later. But I think my pops, you know what I'm saying, out of him and my mom, me and him got a great relationship. Me and my mom got a great relationship too, but we can't be under each other. Like that's something we can't do. But you know, my pops, I swear, from like he way in Atlanta and we be talking like he about to come up, like yo, come upstairs or something. Like, be downstairs or something. But I deal with my pops, me and him got a relationship. I think we, you know what I'm saying, I think we on a good term. I ain't never really had no bad situation with my father. You know what I'm saying?
I I think a father is a real important thing in any man's life. And I got to see it firsthand. I got to see both sides because I was born and raised in the South Bronx, and a lot of my friends didn't have a father. And my father would not only be a father to me, but he would take other kids to the movies with us. Like he threw one of my friends, he threw him a birthday party because it was around the same as my brother's birthday. So he threw them he was a father to not just me, but a lot of my friends too. So like I got to see both sides. So I definitely appreciate him that much more, being able to see my friends without a father and be a little envious towards me or whatever. But I definitely appreciate that, and I know that it's a big thing, and that's why I want to be a good father as well, to my little daughter that I just had.
You have an opportunity, you have all these people in the audience, and you have village officials and people that are in charge of stuff. I would like to know from you, what could the village of Hempstead do to help you and to make sure that you're successful in life? What could the village of Hempstead do? Why don't we start out with you, Terrell, we'll work back down.
I think we need to be more involved. I think we need to take it back to the old days where it's like it takes a village to raise a family. We see somebody in the street doing something wrong, talk to them, act like that's your brother. That could be your son or something like that. If you see them doing the wrong thing, listen, what are you over there doing? Like, we need to be a family, like as a village, as people, like, and we need to have more things available for kids to do, even for young adults to do. Just to be able to have a place to go talk to somebody or go, play some pool or something, or, like, I don't know how often Kennedy Park is open, the situation for here, but like a facility like this, like, have you come over here, work out, play pool. Like, me personally, I stay in the gym. That's a tool. Like, just have more options for people and just be more of a, don't look down on people, be more accessible to them.
I think first we gotta want it. We just can't be wanting to help and don't know what to do with it, or just want to be saying we got help. But I don't know. We probably need to leave the school open a little later, like. More sports activities, like I don't know. I was thinking flag football. I don't know why when I was over here, like if they asked me anything, like what do we need help with, I'm gonna say flag football. Like. But yeah, flag football. Like certain sports. My English not awesome, but activities, certain sports activity, more programs. I know my son, he like to dance, so dancing. I don't know, field days in the summers. I don't know, just I really can't call it. We need help.
We need help.
All right, so I have 3 points that I want to hit, and I'm hoping everyone's taking notes because I'm going to say a lot real quick. So the first thing is connection, right? So we're in a 3.7 square mile village with about 54,000 people, right? So that's a small enough population to physically make programs happen with a certain group of people, but it's also large enough to see how they might play out over time. So the first point under connection is you have churches, you have schools, you have philanthropic organizations here in Hempstead that can work, but we're not connecting those dots. And oftentimes, at least when I've been growing up, I've seen the same program done 5 times in 5 different ways. Now, if those 5 things became one thing or worked towards the same goal, what would that impact be? So the first point is connection. So if you're a part of a church, it's okay to talk to other churches. If we're all about building people and praising God, let's all connect. At the end of the day, we need to connect. The second point that I want to say is actually doing the research, right? So yes, what the president said in the federal level is great, and that's all fun stuff, but that's all coming from a national standpoint. We need to know specifically what are Hempstead's problems. If we know that in 9th grade our students are not doing well, then we ought to focus in Hempstead on 9th grade, right? Those are Hempstead's problems. So with that being said, you gotta do the research. And I mean, there are people that are trained to do it, that would love to do it, but you have to seek them out and also make that opportunity available to them. And then finally, this is kind of a larger point, but reframing the narrative, right? So I was raised to believe that I did not come from a deficit background. I did not come from nothing. I came from something because I am somebody and I am someone, right? So when it comes down to how you speak to children and even how you interact, they have assets. even in the class, I'm a student teacher, so I can relate to the educational people in the room. When I teach, I form every lesson based off of one of my students. So each lesson plan is called Marquise Day, Violet Day, whoever students in my classroom, they each have a day. And I use their life to lesson plan, which is very possible. So if I know that you're from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, and you're from this street, then that's what we're gonna do in this lesson plan. And I'm gonna make it somehow relate to history, even if we're studying Mesopotamia. I'll make it work. Because my concern is to make you feel like you're engaged in this classroom because you have assets that bring to it. So building connections, actually doing the research, and then physically realizing that everyone has assets, I think are crucial to doing what we want to do.
Well, first, we need to invest in the youth. We need to work together in schools. We need to provide funding for the programs. Because we need the village of Hempstead and all the school districts to really work together. There was one program that Mr. Moses actually participated in that he said, and it got closed down, and I was really disappointed in that. And we just need the village of Hempstead to work together to provide programs and provide funding for them.
Thank you. So part of me does want to speak about funding. I work for Family and Children's Association, and two of the programs that I used to work for in the 5 years that I've been there were youth programs, and they were all closed down. Programs were closed, programs that were housing 50 kids each. Andrew was one of those kids. Was closed because of state funding. Now, I was very confused that state funding had anything to do with the Village of Hempstead Family and Children's Program, because the Village of Hempstead has money. And they knew. Hold on, let me just wait a second. And for two programs that were housing so many kids, keeping them off the streets, our kids are now actually graduates. The first class of the Promise Project is now, all of them, all the cohort of 22 are currently in college. It was really interesting that when the state decided to pull the rug on us, there was no safety net from the community that had been housing, that had been being served by this organization. So that's kind of like the organizational side of me. I think what we really do need is to just use the amenities and the resources that we have and put them to use. There's no reason why Kennedy Park is not completely full every day after school. There's no reason why these gentlemen sitting right here have not come and done workshops for our young speakers and our young spoken word artists. Hello, can we get a stipend? You got pictures right there. So let's just, the resources are there. The professionals are there. We are here. We have, and we were talking about vocational schools. They get academics at school. So leave Harriet Tubman, leave arithmetic, leave trigonometry, leave that in the high school, because that's what they're doing. But out here, we can have beauty workshops, makeup artists, spoken word artists. We can have music lessons. We can have piano lessons. Things that have been statistically researched, things that have been proven to increase the quality of life for young people that are outside of academics. Let's do it. It's here already. Why aren't we doing it yet?
I feel honestly that, like pretty much what everybody else said, kids need more outlets, just positive outlets, you know what I mean? From basketball programs, after school activities, things of that nature. But I think it starts with basically the young adults. I'm 21 years old, so I feel like around that age bracket from 18 to 23, 24, 25, I feel like it starts with us because, to be honest, like when I was in high school, middle school, you don't feel like you can relate to teachers. Regardless of what they tell you or what they're teaching, you just can't relate to them. You're gonna relate to the guy you see when you're walking home, or the guy you see at the store, or a parent, or I just feel like it starts with the people in the community. So I feel like maybe going into schools, taking surveys, finding out what the kids like, what they don't like, things like that. I think it's no better way to find out than from the kids directly themselves. So that's what I feel.
Can you tell us who you are?
Pardon me, pardon my tardiness. My name is Antonio Bennett.
Okay.
I mean, I miss, but I think I kind of got the gist of what's going on. So I feel like basically every community needs, like Corey said, like they need positive young role models to relate more to the younger kids. Because when I was a kid, when the teachers or when the teachers used to tell me what to do, I used to feel like they was picking on me, and I felt like they didn't understand. And it's just easier to relate to somebody closer to your age group or a little older than you because you feel like they've been through it. When I was younger, I used to think my teachers grew up. They never grew up. Like I just felt like they were just born that way. Like they were born adults. So I feel like there's no way you can understand what I'm going through. I feel like also the community needs, like, they should do more, block parties and positive events that, gets the community, gets like the kids familiar with everybody in the community. They make friends as well as adults. And there's just things of that nature. Kids love video games, they love sports. Create more opportunities and positive programs for them to get into, even after school clubs, Boy Scouts, all types of things, that interest them and keep them, doing something positive instead of, straying away and wanting to do other things that they see on TV or hearing music. Yeah, that's about it.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have had some a lot of good sharing, a lot of good thoughts. At this time, I'd like to ask the audience, do you have any questions that you would like to ask the panel? Sir.
First of all, I want to say that this is really important in this kind of stuff, having the youth come in and have them say the things that you need to say.
We want you to stand
up. This is really important, is what I'm saying. So thank you. The other thing, too, is I'm not from Hempstead. I'm actually from Suffolk County. But I think these programs need to be in every community. And so as a part of this artist organization, we're really into arts and we would love to contribute to anything that anybody has going on. That's something that we're really big into. What other function do you think the arts can have in our communities? And what would you like to see more of? Not just with spoken word and poetry and literary arts, but also visual arts, dancing and music, because I think a lot of the messages that children are getting from the music is a little skewed. So what do you think is something that the arts could do and help with these things?
Anybody have an answer?
I can hop on that. So I went to Holy Trinity High School in Hicksville, and I was a performing arts, I guess you could say, track. And so what that did for me is actually made every other subject make sense. So believe it or not, I know it's going to sound crazy, but by me taking 4 years of modern dance, I understood how to do well in physics. It may not sound related, but you'd be surprised how related they actually are. Because I did theater and design, I knew how to then public speak, right? So I could get on the stage and I can act like I'm really passionate about something, then joke at you 5 minutes later. So I think that when we don't have that outlet for students, it actually becomes detrimental. And even at Syracuse, like, I'm in 2 dance companies now because honestly, I want to maintain my health. I want to take care of myself, and also the opportunities I have to engage with the city of Syracuse, which is in a very similar position as Hempstead right now. It's been interesting just to kind of see how seeing the only guy dancing on stage and he's doing turns and leaps, I can actually relate to students a lot more, which has been a really powerful point for me. So I think that we shouldn't put the arts as an insignificant thing when actually it's probably the reason why I got into Syracuse, especially academically. Right. So that's your question.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been advised that the time for this segment is now officially up. So if you can give the panelists a hand, we're ready to
As you already know, we are here for the My Brother's Initiative, My Brother's Keeper Initiative today. And certainly we are happy for the response of those of you who are here. Earlier this year, President Obama launched the My Brother's Keepers Initiative. The initiative calls for communities across our nation to get boys and men of color on track for excellence. excellence in all key areas of their life, education and academically being paramount. In particular, as a part of this initiative, the President has asked all communities who have signed on for this initiative to do the following: to ensure that our children enter school cognitively, physically, socially, and emotionally ready; to ensure children read at grade level by the 3rd grade; to ensure all youth graduate from high school; to ensure all youth complete post-secondary education or training; to ensure youth out of school are employed; and ensure all youth remain safe from violent crime. I'm proud to say today that our village has signed on about a month ago to fulfill that task for this agenda. You ought to put your hands together right there. A report released in April by Johns Hopkins University, America's Promise Alliance, and the Alliance for Excellent Education, titled "Bridging a Grad Nation," found that while the United States nationwide graduation rate has reached 80% in 2012, the highest in U.S. history, and is on the pace to reach 90% by 2020, certain groups of students such as special education, low-income, minority students, and others continue to lag behind. According to the report, the minority for the states achieving a 90% overall graduation rate will not be possible without significant improvement in graduation rates in these populations of students. African Americans and Hispanic students have seen significant gains in graduation rates, but these populations still have the furthest of all to go. 76% of Hispanic students and 68% of African American students graduate from high school. Those rates are about 10 to 15% less than the graduation rate of white America. Another report released in 2012 titled "The Urgency of Now," the Scott 50 State Report on Public Education and Black Male, states that nationally, at the rate at which our schools are going, with no large-scale system intervention, it would take another 50 years. Let me say that again. It would take another 50 years to close the graduation gap between black males and their white male counterparts. The report finds that graduation rates in big cities with high concentrations of low-income students are far lower than the national level, and that most such cities still graduation rates are in the 60 to 70% range. It continues, the unconscionable outcome for these young boys and men are not reflective of their potential nor their abilities, but a direct result of denying them equitable support and resources they need to be fully engaged and succeed. This is the opportunity gap that is the root of the achievement gap. It states further, our failure to institutionalize the support necessary to provide black males with a substantive opportunity for success has yielded a climax where in 2011, academically only 10% of black male 8th graders were deemed proficient in 8th grade reading, and only 52 were graduating from high school in a 4-year period. To quote the foundation's president, John H. Jackson, a young African American, thus the penal institutions remain populated with too many black males, and the classroom student roles with too few. Our nation's current pace of institutionalizing the policies and programmatic supports to more positively affect the outcomes for black males will cause any reasonable person, let alone the young boys and men themselves, to wonder whether our society truly desires to systematically change the conditions for black males, or alternatively to wonder whether advocates, faith leaders, policymakers have resorted to only developing pain-numbing programs designed to make the back of the bus more comfortable for those who are left behind. Here in Hempstead, we've seen a lot of conflict and divisiveness over our district's graduation rates, and have witnessed ongoing arguments around how to turn our district around from its current state of affairs. So this is the context for which we have come to discuss today. How do we get from the facts of these reports to aspirations and goals that our president has set for my Brothers Keepers initiative. And so with all of that being in mind, as our backdrop for the day, we're going to move along with our second panel for this day. The panel is entitled Destination Success, helping our boys achieve from cradle to college and beyond. I want you to know today that this panel will be led by Dean Anissa Moore. If she's here, let her come forward now. Here she is, right here. She's going to come forward now. She's going to introduce to you our panel, and we'll move forward with another healthy discussion.